All right, hi, I'm Emerson Fight. Do I have your permission to record this?
Yes, you do.
Awesome. So I'm here with Ben, another member of my group. I posted a link at around 10 a.m. and he previously talked at like 9:45 about the order we should do it in. So he joined my call and then we waited about 20 minutes. It's 10:18 now and no one has joined and I have work later today. That's why I signed up for the 10 a.m. session. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it, and my group members can watch it at a later date. Um, but I just want to preface this before I start by stating that I do not believe that all guns should be illegal. I do not believe that people don't have a right to have, a gun in their own possession. I just want to talk about South Carolina's specific open carry policy and why it should be nullified or why it should be much, much stricter, because gun control is a vastly growing issue and it is way too easy to be able to purchase a gun right now. And it's really unsettling. And there's a lot of issues with this. First of all, the fact that guns can be used as a symbol of hate and put people of color at more of a threat than they already are is a huge, huge issue. Another issue is that guns promote more violence and more negative things rather than self-justice and self-protection like people claim it to be, because it's not true. It creates more violence. It has been proven and proven after many statistics. And lastly, believe it or not, there are a lot of people that don't know how to actually use a gun. So if people purchase a gun, don't have a permit, they don't know how to use it, and it can be dangerous to them and also other people. So in an article posted by Giffords, which is an organization that has been at the forefront for justice and legislative reform for basically the past 25 years, they posted an article regarding the open carry policy. They shared many statistics. It's a wonderful, wonderful site. It's a wonderful organization. And they posted a statistic that said that weak concealed carrying permitting laws are associated with 11% higher rates of homicide committed with handguns compared with states with stronger permitting systems. And South Carolina is considered a weak concealed carry permitting laws because they're not strict. We have a law there, but it's not like it really helps or benefits anyone. And I also know that this stat is backed up because on sciencemap.org, which is once again another very credible, very reliable source, stated that a new study suggests that stricter gun access and laws could reduce firearm and handgun related deaths up to 11% annually. So those kind of go hand in hand. Both of those statistics kind of just prove the point right there that, having open carrying and that kind of thing is not always a positive. And I know you're probably thinking, like, it's really difficult to nullify a law, and it is, but it can be done. And in January of 2012, California nullified their open carry policy, and Schaus Law Group, which is a law group of attorneys that handle misdemeanors, DUIs, felonies, juvenile cases all across the state of California, shared an article about now in 2021, like what happens if you get caught carrying a handgun. And actually carrying an unloaded handgun in public, unloaded, I want to explain, it's not even have any ammo in it. You can face up to a year in prison, or you can have, I believe, a $1,000 fine, which is crazy because just here right across the country, you can carry a handgun in public and nothing will happen to you. So I really think South Carolina needs to look closer at these laws given by California. I think they should try to adopt some of them because I think it's wonderful. And like I stated previously, another large issue with all of this is there are a lot of people that don't even know how to use a gun. It's not as easy as a lot of people think. And Eleanor Tabone, a WLTX reporter in Columbia, 2 weeks prior to the law being passed, she interviewed Megan Alexander, she's a gun trainer at ARM in South Carolina. And I'm sure you'd think like, oh, she'd definitely be for this policy. She's actually quite opposed to it. She stated that open carrying without a permit is super dangerous. And she furthered this by stating, I've had students that have owned gun for years and they still load the ammo wrong. And that is super unsettling to me because it can happen to anyone and it can put the person using a gun at danger. It can put other people around them at danger without them even knowing. They could have no intentions of hate or a threat and something bad could still happen. And I think it's very dangerous to the public. And lastly, and to me, most importantly, the reason why I will never, ever stand for this law is because of all of the people of color that are being put at risk because of it. Reporter Lou Mitchell from AP News interviewed a handful of people right after the law was passed. And the most compelling interviewee I've seen throughout this whole thing is Representative Jermaine Johnson. And he stated that open carrying is a privilege for a white man, but dangerous to a Black man like himself. And he furthered that statement by saying this bill as it stands will be no more than legalized hunting for Black people. And I just want that to kind of sink in for a second. This bill as it stands will be no more than legalized hunting for Black people. Like that made my stomach sick, and I hope it made yours too. And the thing is, it's true. If you're ignoring the fact that he's, probably just making it up, he's not. People of color are being killed right and left. And yes, some of them are from police officers, but it doesn't mean it can't happen from citizens too. No child, no woman, no man, any person of color should have to worry about walking through a white neighborhood and what might happen to them, or, walking out on the street, especially having an open carry policy. And with that, recently there have been a lot of people of color that have been killed because they've been accused of having a gun when they don't even have a gun. So to me, I couldn't see any person of color wanting to even have a gun on them and show it, even if it is legal, because they could still be killed for it because it's happened before, even when they don't have a gun. And in this same article in AP News, she interviewed some law enforcement, and she said that some law enforcement leaders have said that the bill could lead to more gun violence and more domestic killings in a state that's often ranked among the worst in the country for such violence. And they said that fights could escalate to shootings more quickly with open carry, and such a law would make it hard for police to sort out who is actually committing a crime. So, there's, a gun trainer who doesn't agree with it, some law enforcement that doesn't agree with it, there's state representatives that don't agree with it, statistics speak for itself. All of this, I believe, I'm just sharing the words, but this all speaks for itself. I do not agree that this law should be put in place for any longer. I think it's dangerous to the public. It's dangerous to the state itself. And I think it's really selfish. So I, urge you, do your research, kind of look up a little bit more. I'm still learning a lot about this topic and I really enjoy it. But if you want to learn more, look up more stuff around here, and kind of try to educate yourself on what you believe the best way is to go about this, because I do not agree that this law should be in place anymore. And I appreciate you for listening to all of this. Do you have any questions? I know we have about 5 to 6 minutes, I believe, of questions, which we can just discuss, the two of us.
Yeah, I guess that's what we'll do. Okay, so during your presentation, I wrote down a couple things.
Okay.
So the whole argument, do you believe that it should just be eliminate the open concealed carry, or just have, get rid of all concealed carry, or just have permits?
So that's kind of like a tricky one. I definitely believe if people are going to open carry, I think they have to have a permit. I don't think you should be allowed to purchase any type of gun or have a gun unless you have a permit, just because having a permit shows you've at least gone through a background check, you've showed you know how to use it, you've shown the rules of it. But I think there's also needs to be a lot more that goes into getting a permit. There needs to be more background screening. There needs to be more, mental health checks. Like previously, the guy that I think shot 4 or 5 people, he was flagged for a mental health like thing when purchasing a gun, and they completely ignored it. I think things like that need to change. When you're purchasing a gun, you need to think about everything. It doesn't need to be that easy, and I think that's where we have to start. And then once it actually becomes, I don't want to say more difficult to get a gun, but once it becomes like reasonable when you can get a gun, then I think open carrying would be okay, as long as people had a permit and as long as the people using that weren't able to purchase it, wake up one morning and be like, I'm going to buy a gun, and then get one easily that afternoon. My older sister has a lot of friends that purchased guns when they went off to college, and I vividly remember them talking about how easy it was to get a gun at their age, and that was just really unsettling for me. But yeah, I think that first we need to handle how easy it is to get a gun, and then from then on figure out, okay, well, is open carrying realistic and reasonable with it not being as easy to purchase a gun?
Okay, and so a lot of people, they probably like think that having open carry is like part of their Second Amendment, and like that by having these permits or just not even allowing it, it's like infringing on their Second Amendment. What would you say about that?
Well, the Second Amendment is the right to bear arms in one's home. I very much agree. If people want to have a gun in their house, go for it. Nothing's keeping you back from that. But open carrying is literally open carrying in public, in the grocery store, in the McDonald's drive-through, like, wherever you go, that's what it is. I think people just take the Second Amendment and just see gun and apply everything to that. And I very much think that you do have a right to have a gun in your possession in your own home, but that Second Amendment doesn't consider open carrying and that kind of thing. Like, it doesn't talk about that stuff. So I'm not gonna kind of try to apply it into that, because I don't believe that open carry fits within the Second Amendment. Yes, people have a right to have a gun, but no, I don't believe every human has the right to just carry a gun wherever they want in public, because humans are humans, unfortunately, and it puts a lot of people at risk.
And a lot of people, they have these guns in their house, or they like go around with them, and they say it's for like personal protection from like crime or anything that they might encounter in life, like that day while they're carrying it.
Yeah.
What would you say to them in this? Like,
Well, I thought pretty hard about it, because I myself am very scared all the time. Walking back from Bull Street parking garage to my dorm scares me. I feel unsafe sometimes, even, just anywhere at night, if I'm walking alone, or even sometimes during the day, I feel unsafe. But I've never felt the need to have a gun to keep me from safety. I have a keychain that has pepper spray. It has a little like alarm that you pull, and it starts flashing and like making a really, really loud like ringing noise. And I also have a taser as well. But I keep those on me to protect myself. I normally don't take the taser with me. I just keep the pepper spray. But there are other things you can make to protect yourself besides a gun. Sorry, I just said my connection was unstable. Can you hear me still? Okay, cool. But I think there are things you have to protect yourself besides a gun. I think we should unnormalize, having a gun to protect yourself when there's so many other things that you can still protect yourself with. It just doesn't have to be a gun. But yeah, do you have any other questions?
no, that's everything I wrote down during the presentation. Thank you
All
for
right.
answering them.
Well, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it, and I'm super excited to see yours. All right.